All right, so we are on brainstorming video 3. On the first video, we looked over the hardware a little bit, looked over the geodesic shapes, specifically the spheres and the zomes, and looked at some previous products I did with metal conduit. And then on the second video, we went into the basic V1 geodesic sphere that is built out of equilateral triangles. So all the sides of the triangles are the same that make up the shape. I was able to get a skeleton in and actually model the hardware, the standard limb hardware for the tree attachment bolts here, and get those in. And then that model was about 18-foot diameter. I scaled it down to half. This is more closer to like 9-foot diameter now in a 1-foot diameter tree. And this looks more to scale and reasonable. This is 1-inch conduit, and I feel like it's looking good. It feels better. I think we're on to something simple to get us started. I feel like once we have a good foundation, we can just continue to work our way up to bigger and more organic and interesting and beautiful structures. But I really gotta get a feel for this and get a couple basic little like tree forts and platforms and things going so I can understand the process of actually working up in the trees and the hardware and whatnot. So I think this is a good start. I kind of dig this. I don't know that you can get much simpler. What will probably happen, I'll have to start playing around a little bit more with running numbers on weights and loads and things, and decide if I need to go bigger with the conduit or different type of metal potentially, or if I'm going to need to add a strut support to these tabs here or cables. But I think this is a pretty dang good start. You can see I ran the conduit long to get a little eave here that I think is the simple way to accomplish that. So again, I'm trying to create something as simple and economical as possible to get something in the trees that hopefully could become a little outlook space to look at the nice views on the property, or a place maybe just to be able to camp out, kind of like put camp cots up there and just have a cool spot to camp with a view, something like that. I could kind of see this turning into a very repeatable, simple structure to kind of bridge the gaps between the bigger trees and tree houses. This can be like a little platform that's easy to build to kind of have bridges that connect different areas of the property where you can't build in the trees that because they're not quite big enough for a full tree house, but you could get these little platforms kind of in between to connect things. So this might be a simple way to do that. To be honest, I'm not a huge fan of this shape. I feel like it's very rigid looking. I kind of would like to get into the more curved geometric shapes and into the zones like sooner than later, but I do realize I gotta keep things simple initially, so that's the goal here. Simple, affordable, efficient, and easy to install to get something up. So from here, there's a couple things. This piece runs into the tree, so that I have tried to counter that by, let's see, show that sketch. There we go. So that this can be cut here, and then another support can be installed there, and then over to here, and that should handle that, I think. And I didn't really even notice this till just recently, but down here that's not needed. The tree actually makes it past everything at the bottom here, which is kind of nice. So now it's got me thinking, do I want to have that at the top? I could spin it so that the top is like that, nice and open and doesn't need extra stuff, or I could have it at the bottom. It might be a good idea to have it at the bottom like that, and then this can be where you can climb up into it through here, which would make sense because this isn't a really good practical space between the back of the sphere and the tree. This kind of gap here, so it might be nice to be able to come up in from there. So yeah, I think that's a cool idea. It's coming along, and I feel like there's going to be a lot of different ways we could approach covering it, whether it's just a simple metal roof, or doing some like kind of fiberglass type stuff. I'd love to hear any of your guys' ideas that might work for this. I think we're on to something. One of the other things is going to be obviously how this all attaches. I'm imagining right now, just kind of off the top of my head, like a steel tubing piece that's nice and strong that sits across this. And that way that tube can be bolted to this tab. And then that tube can have holes in it that would allow all of the conduit to be bolted to it. That would keep things really simple. So I don't know, I'll probably model that up and kind of get a feel for if that's going to be a thing or how we might do that. Yeah, I'm curious to run a little bit of like the weight of what these tubes are going to weigh and look again at the capacity that this can handle. But I think this is cool. This is like coming along considering. Here's the numbers on this guy. These are feet. So the strut lengths, like here, the strut length is 4.833 feet. And that to make the full sphere, you need 30 of them. And this allows you to get 2 struts out of one 10-foot conduit. So with 30 struts, you would only need 15 pieces of conduit. So that makes this pretty affordable. Yeah. Cool. So that's that. We'll continue playing around. Oh yeah, I wanted to show you. There was a couple other things I stumbled upon while I was looking. The Nelson Treehouse Supply, Pete Nelson, did this really cool metal platform, and they created this inner ring that attaches to just 3 tabs, if I'm not mistaken. Is it just 3? But they're like the big heavy limb tabs, and they just go right through the beam there, which is cool. So this seeing how they use 3 tabs to create this like giant platform was really neat. And the fact that they're attaching at 2 different points here and how they're doing this just got my brain going a little bit. Like these big columns or supports there that are tied in almost look like they could be these pieces, right? Those angled pieces. So that's interesting. Obviously having that many bolts in a tree, you need a decent sized tree to be able to bolt it up like that. I wouldn't be throwing probably much more tabs into this small of a tree. So we need to be careful on how much we're bolting up in here and the weights on something like this that we're building that's going to be smaller. But this is a really cool watch. I'm a huge fan of the 3D design side of this. This is very similar to other things I've worked on in the past, actually creating all the models, breaking all the piece parts out, doing the like precision machine shop drawings, being able to get everything made at a machine shop very precise so that when you get out to the field, everything can bolt together really well. This got me really excited seeing this process. I would love to be involved in doing 3D modeling and creating something like this. So that's that. This is another thing that caught my eye. It's similar to the other one. This is like a little bit smaller version. They call this the marble mount plan. This is the plan you can buy, and then they sell the kit with all the hardware for this. They also have plans for like do-it-yourself building of the ship ladder, which is nice. But this again is similar kind of in the shape and whatnot and how it looks like it attaches and stuff. So this is something we could brainstorm. This guy, Paul Robinson, is phenomenal. I've followed him for years. His work in creating 3D models and playing with these geodesic shapes and actually getting hands-on and experimenting and building with this stuff is so cool. And he's just shared so much knowledge, and this has been super helpful. But this, of all of his like geometric shapes, this sphere is something that he came up with where it's only one triangle that makes up this whole sphere. So it's simple. Instead of normally, as you get smoother and smoother with the standard geodesic domes or spheres, they get really complex because you end up with a lot of different size triangles that make up that sphere. So he was able to accomplish a really good, decent sized sphere with a single triangle size that makes the whole thing up. So I thought that was really nice. And the other thing that I really liked, I don't know if I have the PDF. Do I have the PDF up? I don't. But the top of this, does it show the top? The top of it actually only has 4 points that come to the top. Let's see if he shows the top, which could make it a lot easier to attach. So essentially, this dome that he built is, I think it's about 21 foot diameter, and it has a point at the top where 4 struts come into it. So you could essentially only have to have 2 tabs sticking out, and you can attach everything to those 2 tabs on either side. And I think that would do the trick on this one. So this is one I'll probably play with as I start to get towards where I want to do the more organic and bigger actual spheres, as opposed to this kind of boxy, more rigid shape here. Oh, here's the PDF. I did pull this up. So this is cool. You can see a little bit more of this. Some of his work. You can see the top here. So essentially you could connect it, like put a tab sticking out this side and a tab sticking out this side of the tree, and then go from here to the tab, there to the tab, and there to the tab. And then do the same thing on the other side. You could go from here to the tab, from here to the tab, and from here to the tab. And then that would handle holding this, I'd imagine. So I think I want to play with that. I'm intrigued by this. It's just different. I'm super familiar with the standard geodesic domes, and there's a lot that make them difficult to work with because of the craziness of all the triangles and stuff you're working with. This model gives you a really clean, flat bottom, like, or center of the dome to work with as well, or sides to work with. There's a nice clean seam there, a straight edge to work with. So yeah, this is intriguing to me. It's pretty efficient. So he's showing like the paneling of this, cutting out of like standard sheet of plywood, I believe is what he's got here. Full dimensions of the base. It's amazing how much stuff he offers for free, and he has some things he sells as well. Some cool, unique hardware too that he's designed. Cool. So I think that's that. And this is the calculations of this one. But yeah, cool. All right. Hopefully you guys got some cool ideas spinning in your heads as well. Throw some comments in down below, and let's build some cool stuff. Later, dudes.